Throughout the 1950s, other corporations rapidly adopted systems like it to serve a wide spectrum of corporate processes. The corporation was still a nematode, but we were wiring the worm and aggressively digitizing its nervous system. Yet it remained basically the same worm. Sure, it became more efficient and could react faster, but with basically the same dispositions, because as we automated those existing systems with computers, we mimicked the paper. Invoices, accounts, and customer master files all simply migrated into the machine as we dumped file cabinets into database tables. We were wiring the worm, but we weren't rewiring it. So it remained a bureaucracy, just a more efficient, responsive, and scalable one. Yet this was the beginning of a symbolic evolution between corporation and information age technology, and it became a departure point in the corporation's further evolutionary history. This digital foundation is the substrate on which further evolutionary processes would occur. Then about 30 years ago, Leonard Kleinrock, Lawrence Roberts, Robert Kahn, and Vint Cerf invented the Internet and ushered in the second epoch of information age, the network era. Suddenly our little worm was connected to its peers and surrounding ecosystem in ways that it hadn't been before. Messaging between companies became as natural as messaging between desks. And with later pushes by Jack Welch and others who understood the revolution that was at hand, those messages finally succumbed to the pull of digitization. The era of the paper purchase order and invoice finally died. The first 35 years of digitization had focused on internal processes. Now the focus was more on interactions with the outside world. I say more because EDI had been around for a while. But it was with the cost structure of the Internet that it really took off. For the worm, it was like the evolution of a sixth sense. It could see further, predict deeper into the future, and respond faster. But those new networks didn't just affect the way our corporations interacted with the outside world. They also began to erode the very foundation of bureaucracy, its hierarchy. While the strict hierarchy of bureaucracy had been a force multiplier of labor during the industrial age, in practice it meant that a company could never be smarter than the smartest person at its head. Restrained by hierarchy, rigid rules, and specialized functions, the sum total of a corporation's intelligence was always much less than the sum of the intelligence of its participants. With globalization, complex connections, and faster market cycle times, the complexity of the corporation's environment has increased rapidly and has long since exceeded the complexity that any single person can understand. There has, after all, only been one Steve Jobs. Something had to give. So corporations have, slowly, begun the journey toward more agile, network-enabled, learning organizations that can crowdsource intelligence both within their ranks and from inside their customer bases. They are beginning to exhibit locally emergent behaviors in response to that learning. This is what is behind corporate mottos like Facebook's "Move fast and break stuff." It's just another way of saying that initiative is local and that the head can't know everything. Of course, companies in the network era still have organization charts, but they don't tell the whole story anymore. These days, we need to analyze email patterns, phone records, instant messaging, and other evidence of actual human connection to determine the real organizational model that emerges like an interstitial lattice within the official org chart. So corporate evolution is no longer just incremental improvement along an efficiency and productivity vector. The very form of the corporation is changing, enabled by technology and spurred by the necessity of complexity and cycle times. The corporation is growing external sensors and the necessary neurons to deal with what it discovers. It is changing from dispositional and reactive to complex and emergent in order to better impedance match with the post-industrial world it occupies. So here we are, at the doorstep of the information age's big data epoch. The corporation has already taken advantage of the computing and internet working epochs to evolve significantly and adapt to a more complex world. But even bigger changes are ahead. This book will take you through the entire big data story, so I'm not going to expound much on the meaning of big data here. I'll just describe enough to set the stage for the next phase of corporate evolution. And this is a key point. Big data isn't business intelligence, BI, with bigger data. We are no longer limited to the structured transactional world.